Alright, so welcome to our first In the Dark video blog. Might get crazy. We'll just have to see.
Might get
Just
spooky.
to do this one like as an introductory video blog, I guess. I'm Jason. I'm the founder of MCPRS, and I'll let them tell them.
I'm Brad.
Tell you who they are.
I'm Brad Heim, an investigator for Jason.
I'm Giano. I think my criteria on the website is data logger and investigator.
This isn't the whole group. We're going to do this with however many people are here when we do them. This weekend we have an investigation at Crossroads, which we're doing a documentary on.
You may have seen it on our website.
There's a trailer on there. We're going to start doing episodes of different places. This will probably take a couple of months each to build. So we'll put it together like a season and run them sometime later this summer probably.
For any information you need about the episodes we're currently working on, or documentary itself, you can go to Twitter or find us on Facebook or check out the website.
www.midcontinentalparanormal.com.
Alright, so why don't you start off by telling them how you got into the group.
Previous to this, I had my own group. It didn't last long, but it was something I was really interested in. And then one day, out of kind of nowhere, this gentleman came into my work wearing his logo on his shirt, and I told him I was really fascinated with the paranormal as well. Everyone in this group pretty much is, and I said I wanted to get back into doing it. He had me out, and he had me out, and we got together and gave me kind of like an application for the group kind of thing, and a couple weeks later I was doing an investigation. So here I am now.
Alright, Brad?
I actually started a part-time job. I actually worked with Gianna, and we got to talking about it one day, and he mentioned that he was actually in a group. And I've always been interested in from a small town. Always thought about it, but never really said it kind of place. And he mentioned something to Jason. And Jason said, "Bring me by." And I met with him one night, and pretty much out of the blue, Jason asked if I'd be interested in joining. And I've been here close to twice a week since. We've been going on right around 9-10 months.
Since June we've been doing this.
Whatever the math is, but
We're more scientific, not so mathematical.
what?
For other people that may be interested in the group, we're interested in who we are. We have part-time people. We have full-time. Most of the people here, in fact all of us here, are full-time members. We go to every investigation, we're at every meeting, we always trying to further the group and stuff like that.
So why don't you tell them a little bit about what you like to do when you're not doing this?
Think about this. Plot this. No, when I'm not working with the group, I am slightly obsessed with this. I'm going through audio from this or doing research on things like this, and then I have a job, so that keeps me busy too. Why are you laughing?
Huh?
I've never done a vlog before. This is serious.
No, you were
It
fine.
doesn't have to be serious.
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
What?
He's passing the torch to you.
Oh, awesome. I guess in the free time, normal person. I like to spend time with family, friends. Normal person. Yeah. Usually I have a job.
2 out of 3 here are unemployed.
Yes. No bomb. But no, really, Giano kind of hit on it. At least in our case, you have to be almost obsessed with this. And most of the time I find myself when I'm at work or wherever, I am thinking about this. the truth is this is a full-time job on top of whatever employment we usually have. So
It's true.
it's just one of those things where, you know, we're trying to do what we love, and we don't really care if we get paid.
Well said.
All right, so go ahead and continue and talk about maybe the first point of doing this that you felt that what we were doing was really legitimate.
Well, actually, believe it or not, I mean, there's been small times where you can tell that, because we handle a lot of residential type cases. Families will contact us. We'll go to their house and they're having some type of paranormal experience or haunting, and it was actually pretty recent. We were with a family in Overland Park, what I would consider an average blue-collar family. But they had several small children, and long story short, the parents had me cornered somewhere, and they were just asking me different questions behind theories and the ideology and stuff like that, and you could really see the I guess the best word, the concern that they had, but you could really see their thirst for some kind of answer of what was going on. And it really hit me that we were doing something that genuinely most people don't call anybody or even talk about. And you know, it just made me proud to be able to give them some sense of I guess security in their home, and then validation. There was a point where the father had mentioned that he wanted something so he knew himself and his kids weren't crazy, and he almost cried then. So that was it for me.
I think when I first noticed that this group was something a lot different than the last group I was in is when I came into this, Jason, the founder, he was putting on a conference. He had a lot of well-known people coming out to this, and that struck me instantly as this group means something more than just going to each cemetery and fishing for someone that might be there or not. And that hit off pretty quick, and he said this, but I think what really interests this group and it makes us different is we're more for helping people. And we love going to big mansions, and we love going to any other big location we can have, but our main concern is helping people. We had this family that we were helping out in KCK where they were having a lot of fears. There was a kid that was scratched, and they were just really concerned. And over time, we went there only 2 times, but in those 2 times, you could tell that what we did made an imprint on how they were. It gave them validation that they weren't crazy, as he was saying. It showed them that there is someone else there, and from that, they kind of took a stand. This is their house. They're going to act like this is their house. They're not going to let something else scare them. And since we've been out there the last time, they've moved forward a lot, and they're leaving a house that was troubling their family. And so things like that is what really, I think, drives our group.
All right, so what are you looking forward to? Not just maybe it's not even something we have lined up.
The future, honestly, just because in the past few months, this group has expanded and moved so quickly that it kind of took us by storm, honestly. Like, we weren't, the last place we went to, we met well-known radio host Laszlo from 96.5. We have a few other contacts that are pretty well known in the paranormal region. And right now, I just see a positive expansion for this group of better locations, better clients, and not so much TV, not so much money, just more experiences, more chances to help and grow and learn. And I'm really excited about the future for this group.
Yeah, and something else that he kind of hit on. Every media spot or anything like that that we have had the opportunity to kind of explore, we did all of that without advertising, and most importantly, charging any type of clientele.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we discussed when I met with Jason, and that's basically what this group's all about. It's one thing to have a TV show where you got a corporation paying for your travel and food and and all that, but it's something else to try to take advantage of people that are in need of genuine help. And that's one thing that we won't do. We never solicit. And that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of about being a part of this group. There's a number, but that's right up there.
What about you, Jason? What are you excited about?
I'm excited about the possibility of traveling and doing this a little bit more. Getting some opportunities to go out of state coming up, and I think it'll just lead to going farther and farther away to different places that, you know, there's lots of stuff to do here, lots of places to go here, but it's always exciting to go somewhere else. Let's see. Let's next talk about.
Oh, hey, if you can investigate anywhere in the world, where would you want to investigate, man?
If I don't know if it's not really too soon. I wouldn't do it to disrespect anybody, and I wouldn't do it disrespectfully.
I know what you're talking about.
But I'd like to investigate Ground Zero. It was a huge disaster. The whole United States was affected by it, and the energy there is already overwhelming. I'm sure, you never know, but with that much emotion in one location, you never know what you might find.
Honestly, my location's the same way. And it's probably really highly unlikely it'll ever happen, and it may be kind of offensive to people, but going there with concern and respect, maybe a Holocaust concentration camp. I mean, that's, if you're talking about a place with a lot of bad energy and sorrow, I feel like you'd get so much compelling evidence from a place like that. But again, I doubt the place like that would ever let, because they'd probably find it disrespectful, but I'd like to investigate a place like that.
You know, for me, I would have to say, honestly, the ruins in Hawaii. I don't know of too many non-islanders that have kind of been granted access to that type of area anywhere in Hawaii. But that place with that much history and you know, the March of the Dead, all of that, that's something that I'd love to do, is be there with permission and maybe even a guide and just kind of explore that.
Alright, so with your experience that you've had with us and before, what advice would you give to someone that's out there thinking about doing this and wanting to start their own thing? Or what piece of advice would you give them when it comes to more in the investigating part rather than group starting and running part?
For investigating it takes a lot of it takes passion for what you're doing for something like this. It really does. A lot of this goes from energy. You got to go there with an open mind and a good heart for wanting to help and wanting to just kind of increase the knowledge for the scientific ideology of the paranormal. You know, we're not to talk about business, but don't go in there trying to start this for money and all that stuff. And don't go in there and expecting to find anything. You go in there and just kind of loosely base yourself and just kind of open yourself up to anything that's there. Not anything that's like, don't go asking for demons and stuff like that, but and something I was always kind of curious about when I started is there's no wrong questions for EVPs. There really isn't. I mean, it seems that spirits will answer to pretty much anything, and you never know what might interest that person when they were living. So there's no dumb questions, and if you have anything about pretty much anything, you might be able to ask it, and you may not always get an answer, but sometimes you might. It might be something you're looking for.
Oh, well, I guess if I had a piece of advice, the first thing would be is really think about if this is something you're interested in doing. The reason is I didn't have any previous experience or teams or anything like that. But just to give you like an inside type of look here at what our typical investigation's like, from the very beginning to end. This is what it consists of every time, and sometimes more. But first, you have to have a client contact them somehow, whether they call you or you set up an investigation. Two, by the time you get there, you got to have enough time to set up all your equipment. Even a small DVR system by itself is going to take 45 minutes to an hour, depending on where you want this placed, and that's not including everything else. And then by the time you get done with the investigation, it could be 2, 3, 4. Jason said he's gone longer than that in the morning, and then you still have an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is, breakdown, plus the drive, if you had any drive time. And then before you can even do anything else, you have to review the evidence. Now, in our case, we have 4 channels usually. Recently we've been running 5, I guess. So if we're there 4 hours, times 5, that's 20 hours. That's just a videotape. That doesn't include any of the audio that we ran over with our mobile recorders.
5 or 6 recorders too.
Oh yeah. And like a team like us, we run static recorders as well. We don't just have a recorder that goes with us. We do both. So any given time, you're looking at upwards between 50 to, I'd say conservatively, 70 hours of different material you have to actually sit through. And it's not something you can fake. You have to sit down and you have to watch it or listen to it in real time to catch anything. Otherwise, you're just, you're going to be around 6 weeks. You might even build a website, but in 6 weeks, you're not going to be there. So again, Gianno hit it pretty well. You have to have passion to want to do this. It's definitely not something for your recreational ghost tour kind of adventurer. So,
can I add something real quick?
Yeah.
Something also that if I can add to mine is, be sure that any investigation you ever do, and we always do this, is find the history of where you're going. It's really important to always kind of keep up on that. Know, even if you don't think you come in contact with the spirit that may be there, you always want to know when the place was built, all the story behind it, if there is any story behind it, all of that. And, whoever your clientele may be, always ask them thoroughly. We typically do an interview so we can find out more about the actual place itself and the activity and the family or business who we're working with.
Also, don't let the amount of equipment or lack thereof keep you down. The equipment's great, but that's not really the point. Researcher's best friend is a recorder. That's all you need is something to record your phone, anything like that.
Oh yeah.
I use my phone to begin with. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Even with these guys.
So did I.
I think you would agree though too, Jason, that honestly, how long did it take you to get to the point where, our equipment has grown significantly, but how long did it take you to get to that point? What'd you start off with, I guess?
I didn't get the camera system until about 8 months into this, but we had various recorders and still cameras and one video recorder that didn't shoot in the dark.
How much does an average recorder cost?
About $40.
Yeah, you want one that you can hook up to your computer, and those are, you could get a cheap used one online for $10 off of eBay or other places.
I think that's the key with paranormal too. Online, you can get stuff online.
You
But
also have to be careful with what you buy. There's a lot of cheap knockoff crap out there that people make that isn't worth it.
common sense, just use common sense.
Another thing is, honestly, we have a good variety of equipment now. We're always expanding, but you don't have to spend a lot of money on this. Like you said, a recorder is probably the most important thing, and that and a digital camera. But a lot of our equipment we have and we've been still using, this guy right here is made. I mean, we have a geophone which he's made. which picks up vibration. Actually, you can see that it's right here.
Just pop the little button on there.
This is the geophone. It picks up vibration, any movement on the ground. Typically put it on hardwood floors. Or an EMF pump, which puts out energy in the room, which he's also made, where it kind of lets the ghost build up energy. And then a Jacob's ladder, which we have a guy that built that. It ionizes the air and kind of gives it more of a, how would you put it, static charge kind of thing?
Yeah.
So a lot of this you don't have to spend a lot of money on, but like we've all been saying here, it just takes passion and a will to work on it pretty much.
The most important tool, I think, is the knowledge of what you're doing and what you're really investigating, because the theories are endless, but like anything else, it's somewhere in between, from the most extreme to the most conservative. So
exactly, and you can never really. This is definitely a thing where you can't judge people on what they believe. I mean, if this exact topic, the paranormal or anything surrounding it, it's such a broad a range of ideology that it can expand to so many different things, like astral projection, demons, ghosts. I mean, it could be a number of things. So you never want to limit yourself to, I heard a knock, that's a ghost, It's all just phenomenon, honestly. We'll never hear a noise and say, well, that's what that was. It's kind of more of a documented kind of thing for us.
I'd say also that your biggest supporter has to be yourself. You have to believe in yourself. And you have to be your biggest motivator.
Well, for months, you were running this thing by yourself, weren't you?
Yeah.
And, he stuck with it, and now we're doing, I'd say, fairly well as a group. So it's kind of a proof right there that you do have to stick by this, because there will be times where it probably will get slow. It'll be hard to book an investigation. You'll be like, should I just go to a cemetery and get something? No.
One, it's illegal. Two, it's not the right thing to do. If you have permission from the city or whoever controls it, that's one thing. But even then, for me, I unless I have permission from the families, I just don't see why cemeteries are such a draw.
Well, there's bodies there.
Well, yeah, and that's what my last group investigated. So it's kind of an easy place to get into without having to meet clientele. But actually, Jason, explain to us why you think cemeteries aren't a good place.
I think that cemeteries can definitely be haunted. I know that there's haunted cemeteries out there. I've caught things at the one cemetery I've investigated. We had permission from the sheriff's department to go out there. But the other thing is the bodies are there, but the people didn't live there. And they may have some kind of attachment to their body, or maybe, who's to say somebody else didn't die and was buried in a different cemetery and wanted to visit somebody in another cemetery. Other than that, I know that if I had some kind of choice as to where I would be, I wouldn't want to be with my body. Also, in all honesty, I could see how some families could take it as being very disrespectful that you're out there. People walk through graveyards all the time, and it's not a big deal walking on graves, but if somebody's really religious and they don't believe in this kind of stuff, and we're out there, they think that we're out there doing rituals and trying to contact the dead and other things like that. I wouldn't want to do that to somebody whose family member was there.
And
that's the other thing.
The same with.
Go ahead.
I'll talk then.
If Laszlo does watch this, I feel the same way about funeral homes. You said that you lived in a funeral home, and it's a creepy place because bodies were there. But I see that as the same. The body wasn't there very long. I don't see why, unless it's the person that ran the place or lived in there or spent a lot of time there working there. I don't see why they would hang around a funeral home.
And see, you gotta think about it as he explained it, but I mean, they're all people at one time. They'd want to be in their house with their family, with whatever thing they loved most and they had a strong connection to. That's why cemeteries, in essence, wouldn't really be the main place to investigate.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I don't know, even maybe doing it 10 minutes, but it's good for a start. We're going to be doing live investigations on our website, and you can use the chat box on there to chat with us while we're investigating. So if you see something, you can let us know, and we'll be able to talk back. And we're going to be doing the episodes like we mentioned earlier. We're going to be doing these video blogs a lot more often. I think we're going to try to keep the theme of In the Dark. I think that'll work out really well. Also, if you have any questions for us or something you want us to answer in a video blog, even if it doesn't have to do with paranormal, if you just want to ask a couple questions, leave it on the YouTube page on the comments or send it to us through Twitter. Contact us in any way, email. There's different various contact forms on the website. You can use any one of them to contact us. You can use the ghost investigation request just to ask us a question. So ask away, and we'll answer them in our next blogs. And we'll have various different people in different times. We'll be doing some interviews and other stuff coming up. So, all right.
Hey, if you watch this, I just want to know. Tell us what you want to investigate. If you had any opportunity to do that.
Yeah, we'd like to know that.
Yeah, I was curious. I wanted to ask that earlier.
And be sure to visit midcontinentparanormal.com. That is your #1 way to find out what's going on with us as a group and where we're going and where we've been. There's full cases on there, so stop by and check it out.
MCPRS.